How you doing, guys? Back out here on the upper camp at the homestead property. Today we're going to be shooting the Mossberg Shockwave. This is a 20 gauge model that's had some modifications done to it. You might not recognize it, but this is another truck gun that I've been wanting to evaluate different ammo types to see how it reacts on the on different animals if I had to use this in a situation where I needed to get some game to feed myself. The differences between this one, obviously it's a 20 gauge. This one holds 5 in the tube plus 1 in the pipe if they're the 2.5-inch shells. It holds 4 plus 1 if they're the 3-inch shells. This is not as light as I would like. There's obviously a number of add-ons here, but with the 5 plus 1, I like having the 4 shells on the side. I like having the light. The mount for the light also mounts the sling. It's a little heavy for what it is, but it's very sturdy. So the pistol grip here, or the pistol brace, excuse me, is a SB Tactical. It's the adjustable. I believe it's the SBA 3. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's the adjustable pistol brace for the Shockwave. And the documents that come with this basically state that by putting this on to the Shockwave does not change the legality here. So this is still a firearm. So today we're going to test some different ammos, which you'll see. I'll have an overlay here, some different ammo types. We have the number 4 Federal. We have the number 4 Federal. We have the 20 gauge 2 3/4 7.5 shot. We have the 20 gauge number 4 1500 velocity, the Hyper Steel shot. We also have a 20 gauge 2 3/4 inch number 3 buck. That's what I have in the gun generally, and I want to see how that patterns. Would I be able to hit a soup can or a soda bottle at 25 yards with the number 3 buck, or is the spread from the 14-inch barrel just too much? Is it too much of a spread? And then we have one 20 gauge slug that we might play around with at the end. So overall, nothing done internally. I did change out the safety selector here on the back. That was kind of a pain in the ass. I didn't really follow the instructions on that, as most guys do, and the internals fell into the unit, so I had to take it apart and fish those out so that I could mount that. Once it was on, it works flawless. It gives you a little bit more grip on your thumb there to allow you to turn the safety on and off, especially with the safety not in a normal position for a normal grip. It's up on top, which it's not ideal for the Mossberg, but I've always been a fan of Mossberg, so when I looked for one of these, that was why I went with Mossberg. Up top we got a little Picatinny rail with a hollow sun. I do that because my eyesight's horrible. The hollow sun, any red dot or scope helps me see the target, helps me see where the bullet's going to hit and make sure that I hit what I want. I don't want to have a gun that's inaccurate. That's not fun for me. So on the front here, before we did the hollow sun, I ran the big dot XS, I believe it's XS big dot sight. It's a tritium sight. It was okay. The height that it added got the gun closer to 0 for point of aim, but the rounds were definitely hitting high for this gun, just like the other 410, the Midland 410. This one was hitting fairly high for line of sight. So by putting the red dot on, now it's just dead center. I can hit all kinds of stuff with it. So we're going to test today. We're going to shoot some steel. We're going to shoot some soda bottles filled with water. We're going to shoot some expired canned food and see the reaction of these different ammos. And hopefully we'll get through it a little bit quicker than the last one. But yeah, this is a fun gun. We have this 7.5 size shot Winchester Universal. 7.5, 2 3/4 inch shot at a distance of about 23 to 25 yards, depending on where I'm standing. So that was pretty decent coverage. Pretty much covered that whole plate. That's a 12-inch plate. Now we'll move on to the number 4 Federal. All right, here we go. Number 4 Federal, 2 3/4 inch, 25 yards. All right, that one wasn't too bad. We see a little bit lower left patterning on that one. Might need to check my zero on the red dot, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the Winchester. We're going to go ahead and move on to the Winchester 3-inch 1500 velocity hyper steel shot. All right, here goes the Winchester Super X 3-inch hyper steel. Again, don't shoot steel at steel. I am using safety precautions here. 3-inch Winchester Super X. So on that one was the hyper steel. It had a lot of rounds, little pellets come back at me. They didn't have any velocity, but I'm glad I had the safety glasses on. I'm glad I was 25 yards away. Don't do that. Don't shoot steel at steel. But the pattern on that is a lot wider, and I think that has to do with the speed. There was a huge fireball out of that one. Might get that on slow-mo later. But yeah, there was a huge fireball, and it had some pretty good kick to it for a 20 gauge, but the pattern wasn't ideal at 25 yards. I guess if maybe you were going after a turkey or something, that might work, but for that short of a barrel, it looks like the spread is just huge on that. So we're going to go off to the number 3 buck now. That's my stand-in round for self-defense while I'm out hiking around. So we'll do number 3 buck next. Number 3 buck Federal loading, 2 3/4 inch shell, 20 pellets. Here we go. So as you can see there on the target, looks like 3 pellets, maybe 4 pellets of the 20 hit that 12-inch plate. That would be no good for a rabbit or squirrel, possibly even a coyote. I don't know what the other ones are doing, the other 20. I think what I'm going to do is right next to it I have a paper target holder, and I'm thinking I'm going to put up a paper target and see what kind of spread on a human size silhouette, what kind of spread is showing up on that at 20 to 25 yards. Again, number 3 Federal, 2 3/4 inch. Number 3 buck, not number 3 shot. This is buck shot. This is a much larger pellet than the number 4 bird shot. So there's 20 of them in the shell. We're going to aim center, red square. So as you can see, we have a full spread. There's one hit far left, there's hits far right. There's 18, I think I counted 18 impacts out of the 20, but I think it's a good self-defense round. But for a animal, I don't know. I mean, if you're trying to protect yourself from a mountain lion or a bear, that might be a good round. But to get game, that number 3 buck, I think, has just got too much of a spread, too much opportunity to miss or just wound your animal that you're shooting for. We're going to go back to the white plate now for 1 slug, just to check our zero, make sure that nothing's moving around, and then we'll move on to some water bottles and beans. 2 3/4 inch Federal 20 gauge slug, aiming dead center of the 12-inch plate at 25 yards. Yep, a little bit high. That's about where I expected it to be. All right, 25 yards, going for a water bottle with the 3-inch 1500 velocity number 4 shot. It looks like one impact right here. No other impacts. One impact at 25 yards with number 4 1500 velocity 3-inch shell. If that was a squirrel, you'd probably miss it. Let's try the other stuff. All right, 2 3/4 inch shell, number 4 standard velocity stuff, not the hyper steel velocity. Much better. Multiple impacts. There's one inside of it. Looks like 3 or 4, 5-ish impacts. So that hyper steel stuff, it's 3-inch. There's more of it, but the velocity that comes out of that 14-inch barrel, I think it just spreads too much. There's no choke in that barrel. There's no removable choke. So the extra velocity, I think, only hurts you because it spreads faster. We're going to do some more testing on that on a paper target, just like we did the number 3 buck. But I'm almost thinking that 1500 velocity stuff, it's not good for a 14-inch barrel. It spreads too much. So we're going to go ahead and do the 7.5 shot, the target load now, to see how it reacts with a new water bottle, and you'll see that here in a second. All right, here we go. 7.5, basically a target load from Winchester out of a 14-inch barrel at 25 yards. Looks like four impacts. That's not too bad. 5 impacts, one above the water line. That's not too bad. For just the target load, the 7.5 is looking a lot like the 410. It likes the extra pellets going down range, the smaller pellets. So for smaller game, that looks like the ticket. Let's sling a number 3 buck at it and see if we can just hit it. All right. Let's sling a 2 3/4 inch number 3 buck at it. Let's send one more. Kind of proves my theory. Number 3 buck spreads too much for a target that size. Let's go check it out. You can see here one did connect with it. Don't know if it was on the first one or second one, but it went through the neck. But other than that, no other impacts. What we'll do is we'll set another one here. See if we can have fun with that. All right, we got another number 3 buck. We're going to try from roughly 20 yards on 2 water bottles. One of them has a hole in the top, so it's about half full. But number 3 buck, about 20 yards. That got him. All right, we got some new paper up. Gonna try the hypervelocity. Gonna try the hypervelocity on the new piece of paper, the 3-inch. I'm really interested to see what the pattern's doing. So we put up a new sheet of paper. We're running the 3-inch hypervelocity, 1500 feet per second, number 4. I want to see what it's doing. So we'll go down and inspect it. Aiming for the red square. God, that's got a pop. Looking at this, that's a pretty good spread for 25 yards. I don't know if you can see those impacts, but that would definitely put a hurting on something. I think you just piss off a coyote. I don't know that those would have that much energy. We'll have to test that next, but on a human-sized target, it covers a large area. So I guess if you were going for a big bird, a turkey, a geese, something like that, with a 14-inch barrel, that 1500 feet per second, I don't know, it might give you a little bit more opportunity, but it'd have to be a big animal. I don't know that I'd shoot that at a squirrel. Well, I would if it was 10 feet away, but that's a different story. But let's do some material simulants now, some canned foods, and see how it reacts to the 1500 feet per second stuff. All right, we got a couple cans of crushed or diced pineapple, and we're going to shoot from 25 yards with first the number 4 2 3/4 inch shell, and then second we're going to shoot the number 4 1500 velocity stuff. So the one on the left is going to be the standard number 4 birdshot. And the stuff on the right is going to be the 1500 velocity number 4. So the standard number 4 stuff, we got 2 impacts, one on either side of the pineapple there. I don't see any others. And then the hypervelocity stuff, we have 1 impact, 2 impacts, but no other impacts. Let's see if this went all the way through. Looks like it dented the bottom, but it just barely poked out the top there. So that went, look at this, both of them went straight through. So that is interesting. We have 2 impacts with the number 4 standard stuff, and we have 2 impacts with the high velocity stuff. But the high velocity stuff, the steel shot, didn't go through the can. Same size, number 4. Over here, 2 impacts, 2 full penetrations. I'm liking the number 4 stuff, the standard stuff. It's a 2.5 inch shell, so okay, so it has a little bit, well, no, it doesn't have more velocity. It is slower than this stuff. This is a 3-inch shell, but it's 1500 feet per second. This is a 2.5 inch or 2 3/4 inch shell, and it's only 12 something, 1230, 1220. So this is almost 300 feet per second faster, but it didn't penetrate the can. It's very interesting. I'm going to leave these up here, and we'll take a shot at these with the number 3 buck. See if we can connect with the number 3 buck. All right, we're going to go back to the number 3 buck on the left can, and then on the right can, we're going to do the 7.5 target load. So first will be the number 3 buck. And the right can will be 7.5 target load. So the number 3 buck was shot at this can, and there's a huge dent here at the top, but it doesn't look like any other, maybe on the side there, little grays, but just still the 2 impacts from before. That was a good impact, but it didn't puncture the can. And over here, I see a number of hits. There's only 2. I see at least 3 more hits, but still no exits. So the 7.5 shot obviously is just the target load. It hit the can, went into the can, but it didn't go through the can. So far the number 4 standard stuff is winning as far as hit probability and then energy at the number 4 size. It's interesting. All right, going for a slug. A slug on the can of beans. Here we go. Based off of how this thing ran, you guys could see there, it did a number on those cans and the bottles. It has a decent spread, but I think this gun definitely has a limit of 25 to 30 yards, maybe 40 yards. We might test it a little bit longer distance in the future, but I do have plans to put some slugs through this at maybe 100 to 200 yards to see what kind of repeatability on impact we can get using the little red dot here, the hollow sun. We have an area where we can go where we can get up to 200, 300 yards with slugs and just see if we can repeatedly hit the 12-inch plate, see if we can kind of dope this thing in. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. You should see more of this gun in the future. It's a fantastic little truck gun, little hiking gun, and yeah, we'll catch you guys later.